Welcome back inside the Chamber of Truth, our new boxing platform with your co-hosts Leek and Josh. So we got through the Netflix event already. So now moving on to the real boxing that happened this weekend. Latino Night presented by Riyadh Season.
Great event, by the
Turkey
way.
Al Sheik. Glad he's set his foot in the sport of boxing. We had a beautiful fight at the 135-pound division between William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer. So this fight had a lot of implications coming in. It was set that the winner would get a title shot.
This was a WBC interim title fight.
WBC interim title fight. So with the winner set up to get a title shot at the WBC lightweight belt with the title holder Shakur Stevenson. So Josh, let's get into it because this was a war. Give me your fight recap and breakdown, and I'll jump in and throw some shit in there too.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to introduce you to these fighters. First and foremost, William Zepeda is the number one lightweight contender across all four sanctioning bodies. That's the WBA, the WBO, WBC, and the IBF. That is rare for a fighter to be ranked consensus number one across the board of all four sanctioning bodies. Typically, all four sanctioning bodies like to have their own contenders to challenge for their own belt. But this guy is so good that they all feel he's number one. Mm-hmm. Now, William Zepeda is a very rough and tough fighter that comes forward, throws a gazillion punches, and just puts a pace on you. Is a tenacious body puncher, throws hard punches, can pivot and move. He's not the most defensively responsible, but when he has that kind of offensive output, he breaks down a lot of guys and just basically takes your will from you. And guys just basically quit. There's just nothing you can do with that. Now, on the other hand, you got Tevin Farmer. Mm-hmm. Tevin Farmer is a pure boxer who is a southpaw. And might I add you, Zepeda is also a southpaw. Tevin Farmer is a pure southpaw, a former world champion at 130 pounds. Is a very slick fighter, very hard to hit, has great distance management, a great jab, has great punch selection, doesn't have the most power, but when you have the kind of slick and move, slick style that he has and the ability to not get hit and to kind of conserve your energy, you don't need power. You can just go rounds. Now, these styles in boxing, these are one of the most beautiful contrasting styles because you're going to get a great fight. Either you're going to have the pressure fighter, William Zepeda, you're going to have his will take over the will of Tevin Farmer, or you're going to have Tevin Farmer basically outboxing William Zepeda, or you could have what happened, which is what happened in the fight, which is it was an all-action affair.
Yeah, so let me to jump in. So let me jump in with what I saw with the style clash was William Zepeda came forward the entire time. His output, I think the numbers where they say he averages over 100 punches per round, and I believe he met that number again this fight. Tevin Farmer, whose output is not nearly as high, he even increased his to kind of keep up pace a little bit, was throwing a lot of those rounds was over 70 punches a round, which is a high output for any fighter. And for Zepeda, he applied that pressure not in round one. He had to get Tevin Farmer put the feelers on him. You know, he was keeping his distance, being slick. So Zepeda was only able to get up about half of that number. But from round two on, that output increased and it never slowed down through the rest of the entire fight. And that may just be what swayed the cards in his favor. This was as close as a fight, a decision can be, a split decision. Absolutely. Where Zepeda won by 1 point. Farmer was being slick all night. He was using great head movement. Sometimes he was still getting grazed with shots, absolutely, but he was moving his head off the line just enough to take some of the pop off the punches.
The wonderful thing that you have to give credit to Tevin Farmer is a lot of people came in here. First and foremost, Tevin Farmer was the biggest underdog on the whole card.
Correct.
Out of the whole Latino card. The whole card was a great event, but he was the biggest underdog. And not only that, a lot of people expected Tevin Farmer, like I said, he doesn't have the most power. Everybody knows him for his slick, boxing skills and movement.
And he just came off a loss to another great fighter in Raymond Morataya. Yeah,
so,
to both again. Yeah.
So, but the thing is, that was his first fight in the last 7 years at world class level. To me, that was him knocking the rust off, and to me, that showed. Tevin Farmer, this fight, he wasn't fighting at distance. The rounds 1 through 8,
he was in the phone booth.
Farmer was in the phone booth fighting in the pocket. slipping and rolling and basically rolling with shots, moving and ducking and under pivoting, countering Zepeda, and he knocked down Zepeda.
Dropped him, yeah.
What round was that? Round 2?
Now that might have been the fourth. That was the only knockdown of this fight was from Tevin Farmer dropping Zepeda.
Had a nice pull counter left hand
that was beautiful, clean shot. It wasn't a flash knockdown. It hurt him.
And that was the dichotomy of the judges, and that's why you got a split decision. Tevin Farmer throughout the whole fight landed the harder, cleaner, more flush shots. William Zepeda just put a pace on him and was just landing the smaller, short shot punches. Had a vicious body attack, and it took a lot of Tevin Farmer's. Tevin Farmer is known to go rounds. Tevin Farmer's style he's not a knockout puncher, like I said. Tevin Farmer is a slick boxer who uses his slickness, his distance management, and his jab to outbox you and go rounds and basically take a decision. He's a former world champion. He's defended his belt 5 or 6, 7 times at 12 rounds. He's very experienced. William Zepeda, after he got knocked down after the 4th round, began a vicious body attack on Tevin Farmer, and that took the gas out of him. And essentially, it kind of forced Tevin Farmer to continue to stay in the pocket, because staying out on the outside forces you to use a lot more energy. So we got a better fight, and that's what we got.
Now, was this fight for William Zepeda? Was this Shakur prep? Was this fight specifically made in preparation for Shakur Stevenson? We've seen Golden Boy now put
Absolutely.
William Zepeda in back-to-back fights with Southpaws. This one specifically with a black fighter, a Southpaw who's slick and defensive-minded.
More of a style that resembled Shakur. They're completely different fighters, but still had some slickness resemblance with each other. Both defensive-minded fighters who make you pay by the countering and use their jab and right hand. Their left straight. So,
yeah,
man.
I mean, credit to Golden Boy. You know, William Zepeda's their guy at 135, and they're setting him up. Like I said, he's number one in every sanctioning body.
Absolutely.
He's fighting Southpaws. He fought Giovanni Cabrera last fight, Southpaw, with a different style than Tevin Farmer was, which is another Southpaw.
Duarte, who's a high-level fighter.
Correct. And this division right now is being dominated by Southpaws. 3 of the 4 current title holders, Southpaws, and Shakur, Tank, and Lomachenko. And then also your number 1 contender, William Zepeda, another Southpaw. So he's being prepped for a title shot in whichever route they decided to go, which currently is the WBC route. It looks like they're getting ready to take, as Eddie Hearn and Oscar have been going back and forth saying that this fight with Shakur is going to be up next, which is going to be a mega showdown that I do hope we can get somewhere in the first quarter of next year. With that fight, how do you see that playing out?
The Shakur versus Zepeda fight?
Shakur versus Zepeda.
First and foremost, I want to give credit to Golden Boy Promotions and their matchmaking for building a William Zepeda in the way that they have. The problem is just when you face a fighter like Tevin Farmer has God-given athletic abilities that you cannot mimic in any other fighter unless you have those same God-given athletic abilities. Tevin Farmer has quick twitch athletic ability, a defensive sound mind, has just a sixth sense for what punches are coming, when to move out the way, what shots to roll with, and can counter. William Zepeda had never seen anything like that. Anybody with great footwork, athletic footwork, fast feet, who can move, who can pivot. He'd never seen anything like that, and hence why he got knocked down and why he was having trouble getting hit with Tevin Farmer. And to be, with all due respect, if I'm Golden Boy Promotions, I am not lining him up with Shakur. We're going to line him up with Ivan Berinchik. We're going to line him up with somebody else.
You talking about Dennis Berinchik, WBO?
Dennis Berinchik.
Yeah, WBO.
Yeah, so here's ladies and gentlemen, let me say this. Tevin Farmer, I don't know if Shakur would stay in the pocket like Tevin Farmer did, because Shakur, with all due respect, Shakur doesn't like to get hit. And ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing wrong with that. This is the sport of boxing. It does not feel good to get hit. It is not great to get concussed. The less you get hit, the longer you last.
The name of the game is to hit and not get hit.
Now, you may sacrifice some entertainment with that, but at the end of the day, if I'm fighting, I'm not finna get hit to please y'all. Fuck y'all. Respectfully. But respectfully, if I'm William Zepeda, I'm not taking that Shakur fight, because with all due respect, I'm not ready for that. I'm going to learn from this fight. I'm going to take another fight in the interim. And
well, he showed, as most fighters do, a level of cockiness and self-confidence after the fight, saying that, oh yeah, Shakur and Tevin are the same style. I'll beat him the same way.
But he won the fight via split decision when many thought he lost, might I add. But with all due respect, I had no problem with William Zepeda getting the decision. And with all due respect, I'm
But Tevin Farmer, I mean, he showed a lot. He showed that you can stay.
I'm happy for Tevin
He
Farmer.
showed that you can stand in the pocket with William Zepeda and survive. William Zepeda has been a knockout artist over the last few years.
William Zepeda has KO'd the last 12 of his 14 opponents. Like I said, this man puts a pace on you, punches hard, is a relentless body puncher, and just puts such a pressure on you. And like I said, even if you're a slick boxer puncher, just staying away and keeping him on, at the end of your jab and moving and pivoting and turning him, you can only do that for so long. The pressure and the punches and all the angles that he throws, mentally that takes a toll on you. That tears down a lot of fighters. So for Tevin Farmer to not, for his only world-class fight in the last 7-8 years being a loss to Muratalia, which was a good performance in itself, for him to perform like that against the consensus #1 fighter who is ranked higher above than Muratalia?
It's difficult because you have to give Tevin Farmer his credit for the performance he put on, but
Tevin Farmer's top 10 in 135 pounds now.
But what I'm saying is when you're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, I'm going to fight Shakur Stevenson, Tevin Farmer's 34 years old, probably a little bit past his physical prime.
Absolutely.
Shakur Stevenson is just entering his physical prime.
Absolutely.
He's somebody who's
somebody who's hungry.
Yeah.
Make a statement. Somebody
who needs this fight. Shakur needs.
Absolutely.
He needs to see someone at that level as well.
With respect to Tevin Farmer and his career and the work he's put in, Shakur is much more talented. Has much more guts.
Yeah, he's more naturally gifted. He's more defensive minded.
I think he has more pop at 100.
He possibly has more power too. That's yet to be seen.
If I see this, and you got to realize, ladies and gentlemen, I have far and away more accomplishments than Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer is a former world champion, 130 pounds. Shakur Stevenson, ladies and gentlemen, is a 3-time world champion at three different weight divisions,
including a 2-time belt holder at 130, unified at 130.
Exactly. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you take this Zepeda fight, if you're Shakur, I got to look way better.
Yeah.
I got to look better.
Because we're asking, is Shakur Stevenson 1 point better than Tevin Farmer right now?
Talking about me being in the Hall of Fame, I got to look better than Tevin Farmer. So that may mean we may get a better fight. We may see Shakur actually stay in the pocket. We may see.
And though Shakur wasn't in that ring with you, just as you got to experience a lefty who was defensive minded, there's now game footage of you facing a fighter of that style as well, which I'm sure he studied up via his tweets. It looks like he watched the fight.
You don't need to study.
All he tweeted was one word. Natural. He just put food. So that's how Shakur feeling about Zepeda right now. He saying he food.
Hey, but before you can announce that man is food, like I said, you still got to get in the chamber of truth and find out what's going to happen.
And that's the beautiful thing about the sport of boxing, as you would say. Everything comes to light in the chamber of truth.
Fight a man.
Yeah. So I think it was a great fight. It was a beautiful fight. I'm excited for the 135 division. They need this fight. They need Zepeda, that one top contender who is chasing behind these 4 champions who won't fight each other for one reason or the other. Zepeda is hopefully going to be that guy with the help of Oscar and Golden Boy to bring that action because we need it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need it. I ain't going to talk bad about nobody, but, some guys that's nitpicking, cherry picking, and not fighting the champions that we want to see them fight.
Absolutely.
So hopefully Zepeda.
Caught him out.
Zepeda put that fire under him.
He deactivated his Twitter. We'll just put it that way.
We'll get to them at another time. We just getting started here inside the Chamber of Truth. So we'll catch you on the next segment.